I think it's a good step forward. I think we've got to do even more. The bottom line is, Caitlin, is what Netanyahu has done in Gaza is unconscionable. I mean, we're talking about 35,000 Palestinians killed, 77,000 wounded, 70% of whom are women and children, over 5% of the population killed or wounded. We're talking about the destruction of 60% of the housing. Every university in Gaza has been bombed. There is virtually no clean water. Raw sewage is running all over the streets. And right now, according to humanitarian organizations, we're looking at the possibility of massive famine and starvation, hundreds of thousands of kids starving to death. In my view, Netanyahu should not have gotten a nickel so long as he continued this incredibly destructive war. I'm glad to see that the president is beginning to move in that direction.
Former NATO Supreme Allied Commander Europe and retired U.S. Army General Wesley Clark joins me. Good evening, sir. And obviously the president, as commander-in-chief, gets to make the decisions on such important things. That's why we make people commander-in-chief. He has said that he will continue to provide defensive weapons like the Iron Dome. But how do you define a defensive weapon? Because, you know, if Israel were stopped today, they would get hit within 50 seconds. I mean, there are missiles fired into Israel even during times of peace. So what's a defensive weapon?
Well, I think in this case, it's everything except the 2,000-pound bombs and the 500-pound bombs that were held back. And maybe it's artillery shells. You know, I think there's a lot less to this than meets the eye or that meets the uproar, let's say. I think Israel has enough combat power to be able to go into Rafah and do a creditable job against Hamas. I don't know if that's going to finish the job because this is a tough organization, but they can't let Hamas escape. And Israel knows this, and the United States knows this. And so this is a little bit of a disconnect here to help the United States and help the president and his administration deal with some of the domestic fallout. I don't think it has that much impact on Israel. I think it has a psychological impact maybe on Bibi Netanyahu.
In terms of weapons, we supply cluster bombs to Ukraine, and cluster bombs are highly controversial. There, I think about 120 countries in the world have signed a compact saying that they're weapons of mass destruction. But as luck would have it, Ukraine, the United States, and Russia have not done that. And they leave, and they're so dangerous because they leave behind landmines that can maim people for years. So I have a hard time understanding this sort of like this shield game we play with. These weapons are okay, but these are not okay. In all this, you know, in the midst of obviously horrible atrocities.
Well, I don't think the president's giving or has given any cluster munitions to Israel. They may have some of their own.
No. Oh, I'm not suggesting he is. I'm just saying the whole idea is that that we send weapons all over the world, and how we make decisions, or not all over the world, but how we make decisions as to what we do and what we don't do, how we draw these lines.
Well, there's no question. First, the Russians were using cluster munitions. They're guilty of mass atrocities. They started a war, and Israel needed the means. Ukraine needed the means to defend itself. In this case, Israel has adequate military means. I think the United States knows that, and Israel is going to do what Israel needs to do, and I think it should do that.
Does Israel need any weapons for us to do its military action in Gaza?
I'd be very surprised if Israel needs anything from us, actually. I have a great deal of respect for the Israeli armed forces. I don't think they've exhausted their stockpiles. I don't think they're waiting for just-in-time arrival of anything from rifles to tanks to spare parts or whatever that they need for Gaza. But I think they always feel more secure if they have a larger inventory. I think the shipments that have been stopped probably will result in some rundown of those inventories.
Well, it's a terrible situation, obviously, and with the hostages and so many other very complicated aspects. General Wesley Clark, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Greta.